Alright, so here's Gamora. Here's what we got going on. And so we're going to crack into watercolors here. So like I said, this is a Strathmore cold press watercolor artboard, 9x12. This is my watercolor kit. It's a little travel kit, real simple. Got this at Aaron Brothers framing stores. If there's an Aaron Brothers nearby, you can get this for about 25 bucks. And oh, thank you. I appreciate you letting me know I'm your inspiration. This is 25 bucks, and it's a travel set. So it's you know, pretty much what I've been using to do my watercolors. So so let's get started here. So I'm gonna first off, let's work up a shade of green here for Gamora. Oh, I'm using the these are the Niji Niji watercolor pens. This is the Kuretake, yes, the Kuretake Niji watercolor pens, and you just brush pens. You just fill up the body with water, and then when you squeeze, it sends water down the reservoir into the brush tip. It's really nice for travel. What's my favorite place to get cheeseburgers? Any place that sells cheeseburgers. I don't really discriminate. I live in California, so of course I love In-N-Out. Five Guys is pretty good when I want to mix it up a little bit. But I'm from Texas, so I am always missing Whataburger. I'd love to get some Whataburger. Alright, so let's see. Let's punch up using just a couple of different shades of green here to try to get a skin tone I like. I'm going to work up a lot of paint to cover her face and arms. And I got a scratch sheet of paper here to test out on. I want to make that a little more olive. Does your watercolor paper dry up when with your graphic? I'm sorry, I didn't understand your question there. I couldn't read it in time. Let's work a little bit of this mustard color in here. Ah, there we go. This is starting to give that kind of olive green shade that I want. So you can see here, this is kind of a gesture of the illustration of Gamora, and then just playing around with other, some other sketches there, just for fun. Actually, I drew some of these to kill time while we were waiting for the show to start. Can I put a link to the rig somewhere? I'll try to do that. You might need to remind me on Twitter. Alright, so I got my green going, feeling comfortable with this this shade here. Don't want to overload my brush with color. Let's see, let's make sure she stays in camera frame. So the face is a very important part, so I'm really putting a lot of focus on this right now because you don't want to jack up the face. So I apologize if I'm not able to respond to your questions or comments at the moment. Who's my favorite hero besides Kitty Pryde? Booster Gold. Booster Gold's one of my favorites. Just about all the X-Men, really. I'm a huge X-Men fan. Spider-Man, of course. Been a Spider-Man fan since I was a kid. Who are y'all's favorites heroes? Who are y'all's favorites heroes? That's too many possessives in there. Who are y'all's favorite heroes? Spider-Man, alright. Deadpool. I hear he's popular. Blue Beetle, yes. Nightwing, Spider-Man, Nightcrawler. Oh, Nightcrawler is definitely one of my favorites. I was really glad to get to draw that series for a year. Hot Girl Gambit. Oh my goodness, you guys definitely no holds barred there on replying with your favorite heroes. That's really cool. I look forward to going back to rewatch this and see who I missed. Harley Quinn, Gambit, Bishop. Do I like Deadpool? I do like Deadpool. I remember when he first appeared in the New Mutants comics when I was a kid. I was blown away. Remember when he was brand new. Spider-Gwen, Young Justice for the win. Thank you. Loved working on Young Justice as well. Really had a great time with Peter David and the crew on that series. It's really sad when we had to end it, but understood that's just the nature of comics sometimes. That comics certain titles come to an end to relaunch as another comic. I'm pals with Jeff Johns, so I knew it was coming, and he was very, very cool about it. He was very respectful of what we did on Young Justice, so definitely appreciated that. We got our hand in here. Okay. Thanks for the kind words, gang. I saw someone there said they watched my videos at least twice on YouTube. Appreciate that. Hope to get these Periscope videos up on YouTube on a regular basis. I still am behind by, I think I'm 4 videos behind. Oh, actually, now I think I'm 4. I'm 4. I've got Kitty, Colossus, Black Canary, and then I'll be this, and then this, oh, and Deadpool, and then this one. So, actually, I'm further behind than I thought. What have I worked on with Norm Ratmond? Let's see. I'm sure Norm has inked a number of my Extreme Studios stuff. We used to sit next to each other in the bullpen. That's when I first met Norm, way back in the early Image Comics days. I was one of the later finds. He had been there 2 years prior. So I remember seeing his name in the comics as one of the new superstar inkers. So I teased Norm about this, but I was a little starstruck when I met him because it was like I was brand new to the industry and I'm sitting next to brand new top inker Norm Ratmond. See, he always laughs about it. He's like, really, me? It's like, yep. Of course, then again, I was starstruck by just about everybody. Oh, but let's see. I think Power Rangers Zeo #1 was the last thing Norm and I worked on together. I don't think we've worked on anything at Marvel or DC. At least I can remember. Oops, let's see. We got this hand here. But if you're at any of the SoCal or West Coast cons, and Norm and I are both guests there, you're going to see us sitting next to each other. We always request to be seated next to each other. All right, so there's Gamora's basic flesh tones. Did I watch the Image documentary? No, I didn't, and Norm is in that. I want to see it, though, since I was kind of there. Not quite at the very beginning, but sort of beginning. You know, like I said, I came in like 2 years later, after everything started. Do I use reference photos? Occasionally, depends on what I need to draw. If it's something I've never drawn before, then yes, definitely need photo reference, whether it be a room or a building or a toaster or facial features. Use photo reference for just about anything. That's why Google search has really made getting reference so much easier than when I first broke in back in the 90s. I had to, before the internet got really popular. It was hard to track down the right image I needed. My fan picks from the cons are awesome. Thank you very much. What ink pen do you use for watercolor paper? I use multi-liners, whether they be Copic or Pigmamicron. It's the same thing, same inking materials I use for that I'd use for a Copic color illustration are the ones I use for my watercolors as well. Just make sure they're thoroughly dry before application. Alright, so let's move to the next side. Now I need to make sure I've got the right costume colors here. So I'm pulling up a issue of Guardians of the Galaxy I used for costume reference to make sure I got everything drawn and colored right. There we go. Is that the one I want? Yeah. There we go. Using Guardians Team Up number 2 with Stefan Rue's version of her costume. So I just want to make sure I get the browns right. How to book plans. I'm not sure what that means. If you feel free to expound on that, that would be great. So let's see. Do I ever use a light board in my inking process? Occasionally, depending on the project I'm working on and the work process that I choose to do. Sometimes I use a light box. Actually, it's a light box my dad built for me. My dad built this for me back before I broke into the industry. I'd heard about artists using light boxes and I wanted one, so my dad built me one. And he built me a big one that I could do double page spreads on. So now we're working up some new brown. For the bulk of her costume. And then a little tester here. I think I'm liking that shade. I just want to make up a lot of brown here. A little darker, a little... Make sure I have enough brown to get me through costume. Maybe I'll put a little orange in there. Yeah. Oh, plans for a how-to book? No, I'm not. I don't have any plans on doing a how-to book at the moment. But I'm not opposed to that. You know, if an opportunity arose that I could do a how-to book, I'd be interested in pursuing that. But right now, I'm really into, you know, actually creating the comic book. So if I'm going to put any effort into a book, it would be telling more stories. So, but I never say never to the future. You never know. Do you ever use watercolor on top of Copics? No, I've never done that. I'm not opposed to that. I just haven't had an opportunity to give that a try. Let's see, are we in camera frame here? Am I coming to Puerto Rico anytime in the future? No plans right now. I'd like to come to Puerto Rico, so as I've mentioned to other people, let your local conventions know which creators you want coming to the conventions you attend, and feel free to have them extend me an invite. I can let y'all know which conventions I will be at, that I'm definitely already scheduled to appear at, and that will be Boston. And that's the end of July here, 2015. Yeah, these are my 2015 conventions. So we have Boston, Long Beach, California, then La Mole in Mexico City. Then I think after that is New York, and then that's all that I have scheduled so far. So if I can work in any other schedules, if I get any other invites that work with my deadlines, I'm willing to definitely consider those and work with a promoter to see about coming out to that. Oops, let's see. I'm so sorry there. I didn't have those legs in camera frame. But I'd love to come to more international conventions as well as other conventions across the US. How long to pencil and ink this? Let me think. That was probably at least a couple of hours. It's 9x12, so it's not as large, not as big, so it's easier to, a little faster to draw. But it was at least 2. It could have been even more. All right. So let's see, we need more orange for her shoulder pads. According to Guardian's Team Up. Love my Harley Quinn. Thank you. I'm assuming you're talking about my Harley Quinn Copic video. How long to pencil and ink a comic page? Usually, on average, for me, it's about 1 day. At least a day to a day and a half, depending on what's going on the page. So average, I'd say average is about a day. Sometimes I can do 2 pages a day, yes. But not when I'm penciling and inking. I can pencil 2 pages a day, and sometimes I can ink 2 pages a day. But I can't pencil and ink 2 pages a day. Am I loving the new Doctor Who? I haven't gotten there yet. I'm still on season 7. So I haven't gotten to season 8 yet. But I look forward to meeting the new Doctor. All right. So let's see. Now I need some gold. So I'm mixing up some gold now. What's my favorite milkshake flavor? Usually, I don't drink a lot of milkshakes, but if I'm in and out getting a cheeseburger, occasionally I'll get a milkshake, and if I do, then usually it's chocolate. How am I cleaning the tip of my water brush pen here? I just squeeze some water into it and then dab it with into the paper towel. It looks like I'm somehow getting watercolor onto my desk. Do not want to slide the art into that. What paper am I using? This is Strathmore cold press watercolor paper. Let's see here. Put some gold in the buckle. How often do I switch pencils? Very rarely. Very rarely. Usually I use a pencil till I totally wear it out, until I totally break it. Because I use a mechanical pencil. And I use a mechanical pencil because I don't like to waste my time sharpening. Nothing wrong with sharpening if that's the kind of pencil you use. That's the kind of pencil I used for years upon years. But then, I don't know, I just discovered the 0.3 mechanical pencil and it had such a nice fine tip to it that I didn't need to See, I already had some gray mixed up here. So, oh, actually, it's a little too wet here in the yellow, so it might be too soon to add gray. Yeah, get a little bleed in there. That's not good. I do need gray for the center. So I'm just reactivating a gray I'd created for a previous illustration. What are my hobbies outside of art? Hanging with my friends, watching TV, spending time with my wife. Playing cards with my friends. Occasionally karaoke. Not that frequently, but occasionally. Oftentimes during the New York Con, group of us end up going out for karaoke. I got my jams, my go-to jams. Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome for the critique. I must have met you at a convention. All right, let's see. Looks like I need to create some more gray here for the other parts of her. Oh, actually, I need to use the brown while I have it ready here for her gauntlets. So I just cleaned off the tip of my brush, squeezing a little water into there, into the watercolor, or into the paper towel, and that pretty much cleans it off enough to utilize a new color. Or a different color, I should say. Do you listen to music or anything else while you draw? Usually I listen to the TV. I listen to TV shows. Oftentimes forensic file type TV shows, or reality TV shows, or sitcoms that I have seen tons of times, like The Office or Charles in Charge, Parks and Rec, King of the Hill. King of the Hill is a fun one to work to. I've watched the first 2 episodes of The Flash and then fell behind. We don't have cable, so I don't have a DVR. So I wasn't able to keep up with it, so I gotta wait for it to come to Netflix or Amazon Prime for me to start to play catch up. But it looks good. I mean, I enjoyed the first 2 episodes. I heard it even gets even better past that, so let's see, I'm gonna sculpt in a little shadow here. Just added some more brown to the brown I'd already created. Where's my southern accent? It is long gone. Actually, it shows up at random times. My wife says whenever I tell stories about when I was a little kid, or when I get really tired, my southern accent will flare up. But even when I lived in Texas, even as a child, it was noted that I didn't have that much of an accent compared to the rest of my family. A friend of ours from church, she was a speech pathologist. I remember her pointing out to my mother that I didn't have really all that much of an accent. So that's why I don't have much of an accent. Let's see, have I watched the Flash TV show? Yes, I have. Oh, just like I said, the first 2 episodes. What should be in a comic book artist portfolio? Just 3 to 5 pages of storytelling. We want 3 to 5 consecutive pages telling a storytelling sequence to show the editors that you can tell a story. You'll be right back? Oh, that's Joey Vasquez. How's it going, Joey? We'll see you when you get back. I'm excited for the Deadpool movie. Yeah, I think that looks really cool. Hey, how's it going, Ryan? How do I move away from always needing to look at the things you're drawing? Practice? Yes, exactly. Pretty much that's it. It's practice. It's kind of like, taking the training wheels off, learning to work without a net. And it comes, and it just baby step it. Just a little bit at a time. You don't have to be perfect first time out. And it's okay to use reference for certain things you need to draw, like things you don't know how to draw or have never drawn before. If I have to draw a helicopter, I'm going to look up reference because I can't draw a helicopter out of memory. So it's okay to use reference. Alright, so let's see, working some new shade of gray here. Actually, it's a little darker than I want it to be. But that's good for the black areas. How do I come up with ideas of what to draw? I don't know. I mean, when it comes to drawing superheroes, it's like for pieces like this, it's just which character do I feel like drawing? And just go for it. It's not always easy, but sometimes you have to take time to go through the steps, figure out what it is that you want your character to do. And I like to envision it in my mind as best as possible and then translate it to the artboard. What's my favorite Gamora suit? I don't know if I really have a favorite Gamora suit. I do think this one's cool, though. You're drawing while listening to me. My work is an inspiration. I appreciate that. Thanks a lot. It really, really means a lot. Israel loves me. Well, thank you, Israel. I don't know if you're talking about a person named Israel or the entire country, but either way, I'll take it. Hi from Australia. Hello. Hello to you, Australia. What motivates me to draw? I don't know. It's something I've always loved to do, even as a little kid, as I've shared on other videos. Earliest memories were of drawing. Oops, sorry, I did not have these boots on screen. My apologies, gang. Earliest memories were of drawing, so I've always loved to draw. It's just something that's innate inside of me. Now, there are times where I don't feel like drawing. I might be tired, or a little stressed out, or overwhelmed, or hungry. But, generally, I'm always wanting to draw. And I love superheroes. Been a fan of superheroes since I was a little kid as well. So that's my favorite thing. So I'm very thankful, very blessed to get to do what I do. Am I using palettes or tubes for my watercolors? I have both. Lately I've been using these little watercolor palettes, these little this little travel set that I showed at the top of the show, or at least when I started doing the watercolor part. If you tuned in late, or not late, but if you just tuned in, you probably didn't see me show it there. But it's in my it's in the beginning of the video, beginning-ish part of the video. I'll try to show it here on screen again in a moment here. Just adding a little shadow. There we go. All right, so let's see. Oh yes, I need to add some more brown to my gray here for a slightly different shade. Yes, that's just the shade I want. Would I ever make Wild Garden to an animated series? If the opportunity arose, I'd love to see that happen. That'd mean a lot to see my characters come to life, either as animation or as live action. I'd be down for either one. Gotta go, but you'll watch the replay? Sounds great. Sounds great. Please do come back to watch the replay. They'll be up for 24 hours after the video ends, and then we'll have, hopefully I can get it up on YouTube in the not too distant future. Ever use non-photo blue pencil? Yes, I do, all the time. Use that for the breakdown of whatever it is I'm drawing. I break it down with a blue, non-photo blue, and then I tighten it up with graphite, so that when I go to ink, I know where I want everything to be. So let's see. Now we gotta get Gamora's hair going here. So I'm going to kind of use the green that I've been working on, but add more of a vibrant green to that so her hair is a different color than her skin tone. So this is the watercolor palette set I was mentioning I was using. A little travel set. Like I said, I got it from Aaron Brothers. Let's see, work a little blue in here to kind of, oops, maybe too much blue to darken it up. Doing a tester here. Let's mute that out a little bit. Yeah, I think that's what I'm looking for. Make sure we're back on screen. You like when Gamora's hair has some purple parts? Well, then you're going to like this illustration of Gamora, because I totally have allowed space for those purple parts, because I agree. Her hair with the purple parts looks super cool. And that's just what I wanted to experiment with here in the watercolor stage. So right through here and all down through here, that's going to be the purple. So I want to pull some green down into the black part of that, so that when I come in with the purple, I can get this, hopefully, nice transition. Hair is not only fun to draw, but it's fun to color as well. And if you're just tuning in, I appreciate y'all tuning in. Thanks for all the comments. Thanks for all the questions. Been handling this this broadcast a little differently than past broadcasts, where usually I'm answering a lot of how-to questions or answering a lot of the in-depth questions during the video. I was noticing during my Black Canary video that I was missing a lot of y'all's questions about how to draw this, how to draw that, how to break into the industry. So what I decided to do this go around is change it up a little bit, where I let's make sure there's no paint on the palm of my hand. Do not want to smudge paint where I don't want it. So I'm doing a Q&A at the top of the show and at the end of the show, where I can answer as many of those specific questions as I'm able to or feel comfortable to. So a lot of the chat in here is more generalized chat, like I said, that's movies, TV, comics, cheeseburgers. That's why people were asking cheeseburger questions at the beginning. They were totally taking me up on the opportunity to talk cheeseburgers. So if you have some more industry-related questions, I'm happy to answer those at the end of the show, because a lot of my focus goes into the actual creating of the art here. I want to do as good of a job as possible, so it's difficult for me to catch all the questions. And though I can't promise I can answer every question, whether it's while I'm drawing or at the top or end of each show, I like to do what I can. So appreciate y'all understanding, and I appreciate your support as well. How'd I like Ant-Man? I thought it was awesome. Thought it was hilarious. I love the Ant-Man Easter eggs. Ant-Man related Easter eggs. I caught a number of them. As I mentioned, someone asked a question similar to that at the beginning of the show during the first Q&A. And I was mentioning how I was laughing out loud at certain things. And I won't say them now because I don't want to spoil it for anyone who hasn't seen it yet. We try to keep this a spoiler-free zone. And but I was the only person laughing, and at some of those moments. But I totally was getting them. Don't know if I got them all, but I know two big ones that I got, and I was the only person laughing. Do I prefer the smell of watercolors more than Copics? Actually, I can't smell either. Neither really have a very strong scent to me, so no real answer to that question, unfortunately. Actually, I don't yet. I mean, I can maybe smell a little bit of watercolor, but not much. Of course, I don't have the best sniffer. What is the best alternative to Copic markers? I'm not really sure. I'm not the best guy to answer a question like that, because pretty much I only use Copic markers, so I don't know what the alternatives are out there. But I'm sure there I'm sure there are alternatives out there, and I hope you're able to track that info down. So now we're coming to the gold parts of her eyes here. I love that part of her design. Just think it's a really cool aspect of her design, the gold around the eyes amidst the green skin. I think it makes her look very unique. It's coming in with a base gold right now, and I'll come in with a darker shade to kind of darken it up a little bit. Do I get to decide on character design? On characters that need either designed for the first time or need new designs? Yes, I work with, that we work together, writer, editor, and I, depending. Like, I co-created characters with Todd Nauck on Young Justice and Peter David as well on Young Justice. So so we collaborated in that sense, and yeah, it's fun to redesign characters or create new ones. Let's make sure. She looks so strong and confident. Thank you. That was what I was going for. Thank you very much. All right, so let's see. Let's take care of her while we're on her face. Oh, now we better wait for the stuff around her eyes to dry before I go into more on her face. So let's go to the purple hair tips. So I need to start creating a purple here. Can I do a booster gold periscope? I should try to do a booster gold periscope sometime. That'd be fun, especially since booster is one of my favorites. We got a little too much of the old brown in here. I need to clean that out. I want to get the right shade of purple here because none of these cakes are purple. So I gotta make my own using shades of red and blue. That blue is a crazy powerful blue. Just a little bit of that goes a long way. Oh, here we go. Now we're starting to get into the purple tone that I'm looking for. Gambit periscope. Actually, I've got 2 Gambit videos coming down the pike. It's I have a Copic video that's been long overdue, and a Gambit watercolor video, which is actually probably going to debut first because it's a bit further down in the queue of videos. It's already edited up and just needs the commentaries. How often do I Periscope videos? You know, not that frequently. Right now I'm averaging 1 every other week. So, but the summer is a very busy time with conventions and work and stuff, so I'm not able to. Adding a little white here to the purple. Not getting quite the vibrancy that I want, so taking the time to get it right. Get that shade just right. Yeah, probably the Gambit watercolor is probably the one that's on my Instagram. Will be the one that will be a future video. The one where he's holding the staff and his eyes are glowing. So just a little tiny bit of the blue here. Will this punch it up the way I want? Getting so close, gang. We're almost there. Alright, there's it. Found it. Slide back into frame here. Hello, lady. Have you ever lost comic pages? Yes, I have. I learned that lesson before I actually broke into the industry. Went to Kinko's to make some photocopies of one of my early Wildcard pieces. Made a photocopy. In such a rush, I left Kinko's with my art still on the photocopier. Got back to my apartment, realized I did not have my art with me, and I raced back only to discover it was gone. And no one had turned it in at the register. And I was heartbroken. I'd spent so long drawing that piece. Had a photocopy of it at least, but did not have the original. So out there someone has one of my early original Wild Guard pieces. They might not even know it. Assuming they still have it. It could be, could have been destroyed. They could have lost it. Do I draw using digital tablets like Wacom's? No, I don't really have that kind of technology at this time. Love to experiment with it though. I've seen some amazing things created on the Wacom. So Wacom. What's the correct pronunciation of that tablet? Either way, haven't had a real opportunity to do a lot of digital drawing, but I'm not opposed to it. Love to give it a try. Am I working on any comics right now? I am working on some projects. Nothing I can talk about, though. Stay tuned to my social networks for updates when I'm allowed to talk about such things. Do you feel much comfortable doing traditional than digital? Well, in a sense, yes, because I've worked traditional pretty much all my life, and I've never really worked digital, so I'm definitely going to be more comfortable with traditional because that's what I'm practiced in. But I'd love to experiment and practice with digital to learn it and learn some tricks there and see how I can utilize that. So there we go. Now we got the purple there in her hair. I'm liking how that's turning out. No plans to come to a con near Kentucky, but let your Kentucky cons know you'd like to see me or whatever other artists and writers you like to come out to their con. Feel free to let them know. I'd love to come out to Kentucky. That's one part of the country I haven't really had a chance to visit. So now I need to create a kind of a bluish gray for her swords. So I've been creating my gray using these two shades of blue and this shade of brown here. But I want this a little more blue heavy. Fortunately, that's a little too blue. Let's try working on a little green here. Actually, I gotta get this back more to gray town. Oh, good night, Niv Ben. Hope you get a chance to check out the replay, or when I post it on the YouTubes later on. I think I've gotten this to at least a good place for a base color. So you can see here my scratch sheet of paper of testing. Is this the only job I have? Doing Periscope videos? No, that's not really quite my job. My job is drawing comic books and other art projects, but generally a majority of it is comic books. But I do like doing these videos. It's fun getting to hang out with y'all and share my art and share my process. It's always great to hang out with y'all, so I appreciate everyone tuning in. Alright, so it's a little darker than I want, so I just bring my paper towel in here and do a little dab and lighten it up to the shade that I want. Try not to do this too much. Sometimes it's what I need. So it's kind of this bluish greenish gray. And watercolor tends to dry lighter than what is applied. So I try to keep that in mind as well. Sometimes I want to really lighten it up. What superhero do you not like? Don't know if I have a superhero that I don't like. It's more like who are my favorites, and then I like everyone else. And if you guys are, for those of you who are longtime viewers of my Periscopes and YouTube videos, then y'all know who those are. Who are my favorite characters, gang? This is a pop quiz. There we go. D. John Hudd, Kitty Pryde, Nightcrawler, Booster Gold. Yep, you guys are nailing it right out of the gate. A+ for all of you. Yep, you're all getting it. Nightcrawler, Kitty Pryde, Professor K. Oh, very good. Someone remembers. I like that she is Professor K. You get bonus points for that one. Booster Gold, Kitty, Blue Beetle, Spider-Man, Nightcrawler. Yep. All those characters are some of my faves. Especially Kitty Pryde and Booster Gold. Kitty Pryde's my Marvel jam. Booster Gold is my DC jam. What do I think of Apocalypse? Awesome villain. I think he's fantastic. I remember being a kid and getting his first appearance in X Factor. You did impressive designing a character that was a child of Nightcrawler and X-23? Oh my goodness. Hope Wolverine's cool with that. That's cool for you for coming up being creative. I hope that goes well. Hope you have fun with that. What watercolor set am I using? I'm using the Winsor & Newton Travel Watercolor set. Comes with 12 different colored cakes. Bought it at Aaron Brothers for 25 bucks. Any thoughts on Apocalypse in the new movie? Not yet. I'm going to wait till the movie comes out before I render judgment. But I bet you it'll be a lot of fun. Do I like cake? I do like cake. I do. Why are Kitty and Booster my favorites? Do you like Mexican food? I love Mexican food. Nachos is one of my favorite foods. I include that in Mexican food. Don't know how authentic it is, but cannot deny the nachos. So why are Kitty and Booster my favorite characters? Well, I grew up with Kitty Pryde. I was a teen when she was a teen, and I just thought she was awesome. Loved her in Excalibur. I love her personality. Her power set is cool, but her personality, she's smart, she's funny, she's tough. She doesn't take lip off of anybody. She's a good leader, and I think she's great in so many ways. And Booster Gold, he's just a fun character. He's kind of a bit of a screw up. If you know his origin, if you haven't read his origin, you should check it out. But I really liked what they've done with him in the comics. And he's just a lot of fun to read in Justice League International. Alright, so now we got our swords pretty much squared away. Is that pen an online purchase, or would a craft store carry it? You'd want to call your craft store and ask if they have the Kuretake Niji, Niji, watercolor brush pen. But you can buy these online. I think you can get them at jetpens.com. That's where I get a lot of my supplies. And you can also, so jetpens.com or your local art supply or craft store would be the ways to go. So, all right, and so now we want to get her eyes and lips done here. I've already gone over an hour. And I've got plans for tonight, so I can't be here all night. Unfortunately, can't do a 2-hour Periscope like I've done in the past few. What do I use for inking? I use multiliners, whether they are Pigma Microns or Copic multiliners. I'll show you. I use the Pigma Microns. This one's pretty worn out. Need to get a new one. Or my, well, where are they? Copic multiliner. I also use Zebra brush pen. Need some darker green here for the lips. Working some blue into the green here. Yeah, I think I like that shade. Make sure I don't have too much paint in the brush. Don't want to blob it all over her face and into the skin tone. Want to be very careful. Don't want to lose the teeth either. So gotta make sure there's not too much paint so it doesn't run out too fast from the brush. And the same kind of darkness to the eye just to give it a little more depth. There we go. All right. So I'll let that dry here a little bit. Yes, my sketchbooks will come signed, as I mentioned before. If y'all are new to my, just showed up to my broadcast, I was mentioning my new sketchbook, Todd Nauck Sketchbook Red, which will hopefully be available come early August when I get back from Boston Comic-Con. Well, my 40-paged ashcan-sized full-color sketchbook will be $20. $20, and I'll also have a classic sketchbook, my black and white sketchbook, along with my color sketchbook bundle for, I think that'd be about $30. So you save about $5 on getting the two for those that don't have my black and white one yet. So, all right. So next up would be painting in the background, doing a wash. But I'm not going to have time for a wash. It's getting a little late for me here, so what I'm going to do is flip it back around and do a little Q&A. So here's Gamora in her entirety. Actually, I'll be shooting her or posting her on YouTube. So that would be the final shot right there. And